when we talk about anime, there's one thing that has pushed that popularity in India, that is to do with Comic-Con. Now, of course, Comic-Con has always existed abroad, but the person sitting next to me brought it to India, and he has been associated with it. And he's also somebody who himself picked up on reading manga and then took on anime. So, hello, Jatin.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with your views about what is happening at the moment in terms of the cultural phenomena that anime has become in India, and the development of it, A, since the first Comic-Con you had, and B, the recent boom that has happened.
Sure. To give you context, when we did the first Comic-Con back in 2011, it was a very small thing, or very small part of pop culture, at least for Indians. Very few people were really into it. When it came to cosplay, we would still see costumes, people dressed up as their favorite anime or manga characters. But again, it was a small subset. But it very steadily kept growing. What fueled it was the interest in the quality of the content. People pirating it. This is pre-pandemic. So I'm talking at least 10 to 15 years ago. And then during the pandemic, the accessibility to anime and manga just became much easier, and not just in India but worldwide. So it really boomed. The interest really started peaking, and you saw people who had never discovered it before get into the fold as well, and mostly through anime, which is watching the animated series and movies and all of that. You started seeing these titles come into regular streaming services. Then you saw, as the pandemic kind of ended, you saw services such as Crunchyroll launch in India, which was totally dedicated to anime. And then it just boomed. And it's been going on and on. I don't think it's plateaued yet. It's not reached the peak in India, at least. And it's been really fascinating because as it boomed, it wasn't the typical pop culture nerd that also got into it, but I saw people from all classes and cities or tiers get really into it and get hooked on to anime and manga. And I think it's here to stay with us for a very long time.
Okay. Let's start at what was that one anime or manga that got you hooked and then eventually into your own journey?
So I'm an aging fan. So when I got hooked onto it, it was through a manga called, it was a manga on the life of the Buddha. It was by one of the greatest manga artists in the world ever, Osamu Tezuka. And it just blew my mind. Just the basic of how to read manga, which is you start backwards. And then the artwork and the storytelling. And then from there on, I just wanted to try and pick up more and more titles by that artist and discover other ones. And that's how a lot of people in my age group, at least, initially got introduced to manga, because those were the titles which were available back in India. I'm talking 2007, 2010. And then, wanting to watch anime. So I started really old school. So I started watching Gundam, Evangelion, Ghost in the Shell. I'm a 90s kid, so you can imagine I'm watching stuff which was probably coming out when I was growing up. Akira. So that's how I got into it. Now there's obviously a whole different universe of characters and series out there.
So in the years that, you were actively associated with Comic-Con, and then they were like the cosplaying, which became a big thing. Now, did you see, like, what became the point of interest? Like, one, of course, like I know, okay, there's a physical text that you're going to read, right? Then there's something that you watch. What is the other element that people started getting excited about in terms of, like, what are the voice actors? What are, like, okay, we want to meet, we want to get more into?
So I would say for a lot of people, the anime started first. At least that's anecdotally what I felt at Comic-Cons. And then they discovered the manga that went along with it, which is usually as long as the anime. And then during the pandemic, when it really boomed and we came back out of the pandemic and we saw from the interest in the guests that people wanted to the type of books that they wanted, the experiences that they wanted, was very driven by their interest in the newfound interest in anime and manga. And as these different streaming services started dubbing the series in different languages, the idea of wanting to meet the voices, the faces behind the voices, also became a big part of the interest. So we saw requests coming in from fans in different cities wanting to meet the dubbing actors behind these series as well, not just the ones in Japan or say in the US where the English voiceovers were done, but also the local languages. And it's growing. So you saw a lot of interest in that space as well, and that's what fans really wanted.
So the last bit, because you spoke about it, I want to include this. If you had to recommend somebody who's starting out, okay, I want to start with anime, I want to start with manga, are there a few suggestions that you'd want to give?
Sure. I feel I'm an old school person. I've grown up watching stuff like Gundam, Akira. It's one of the most path-breaking anime movies ever. You don't need any background. You can just watch the movie. And then once you finish it, you realize how many movies that you must have seen in your life have copied it. And then recently I've been watching, I've been trying to get into Demon Slayer because it's trending.
Right.
I'm trying to be cool. But that's there. There's One Punch Man, Naruto. There's a beautiful live action series on One Piece, which is on Netflix.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options for you to go there. If you know anyone in your life who's into all of this, go to that person for sure. Ask for recommendations. They'll give you a long list. And you start testing it out. You'll find your niche.
Something. Yeah. Just the last bit. When we're talking about the way anime has taken over everything, how do you see this idea of the fan change because of that? Because we have this notion of who's an X fan, who's a Y fan, there was always this time of we have this idea of what a fan. Do you think anime challenges that in a big way in India?
I think it has. I'll tell you. So when there was a superhero boom, it went beyond the T1 cities. There were kids in all the smaller cities who were watching it for the first time, and they really got into it. But I felt that there was still, to a certain level, it wasn't where they were dedicated fans of it. They liked what they watched, and they would watch it again, but it's not something that stayed with them forever. When it comes to anime and manga, in my personal opinion, I've seen someone who gets into the space, it stays with it lifelong. They want to explore the entire universe of all the stories and characters that are there. And there's also a deeper sort of an emotional quotient to this content. There's depth to it, which is not always there in, say, what we think of, sort of animated series from the West, which is, say, on the DC Marvel side of it. Not to say they're not nice, but I'm just saying that I personally feel like I felt that there is a sort of an emotional quotient to this type of content, which is really connected with Indian audiences. And I've seen all classes of Indians enjoying it, which is why you see this success in dubbing them into local languages as well. So you cannot define an anime manga fan as easily as you could have defined a superhero or a DC Marvel fan in the past. I've been personally surprised by meeting people who I never thought would be into this are really, really into it. And the reason also is that there's a large variety of content. There is something for everyone in this space, which does not always happen with, say, other type of content.
What has pushed and sustained the popularity of anime in India are small collectives, platforms, and networks that would push for anime movies to be released in the country, organize screenings, and even have their own meetups. One such weeb is Samarth Thakral.
Hi, so I'm Tina, and if you're somebody who's a fan of anime, or if you're not somebody who's a fan of anime and you're just starting out, you should definitely follow this particular page called Nagpur Anime Club. Interesting because Nagpur, before I came to know about Samarth, who's on screen right now, I used to think that it's all about oranges and nothing else. And as Samarth eventually told me that it's a small, sleepy place where a lot of retirees live and they like to have this chill life. And somehow there, almost 14, 15 years ago, he and a couple of other people managed to create something which has now become a movement. They have their own events. This person here has learned Japanese and he's taken it to a whole new level of Comic-Con. So we'll start with an incident which you told me. Somewhat high. I will start with an incident which you told me. that
Yes,
you
yes,
requested the founder of Comic Con to come to Nagpur, and eventually that didn't happen. So you
yes.
decided, "Ki, let's do our own," and now you have a cash prize that actually is in competition or even more than what they tend to offer at their CosCon events.
Yes, that is correct. This is like, I guess, back in 2014, I did meet Sonal. I think Sonal was in the management committee. Like now, she's the owner, I would say. But at that time, Comic Con just started off. It was there for the past 2 to 3 years. I was very fascinated. It was one of the happiest days of my life. The 2013 Tiagara Stadium Delhi Comic Con, followed by the one in Nesco in Mumbai Comic Con. Those were literally the best days of my life, and I was like, okay, I really want to experience this. I really want my hometown, the geeks of my hometown, to experience this. And we just had a casual chit chat, and as far as I understood it, Comic Con was very youth centric. And as you said, that Nagpur is a very chilled, retired home place kind of a city. So the youth quota at that time was not that high. So yeah, they're like, oh, maybe after 10 years or so, maybe we might consider coming to Nagpur, which is actually true. I think the rumors have it, and some unofficial sources also have it that in 2026 Comic Con is coming to Nagpur, and yeah, but then I would say we kind of got the ground space up and running. So yeah, since Comic Con was not going to come for the next 10 years, we decided that hey, we're spending lots of money in traveling and figuring out buying merchandise. Can we not create a little prototype of Comic Con in Nagpur ourselves? And that's how CosCon Nagpur was born from Nagpur Anime Club K core team members. Yeah.
Okay. So considering right now in a very corporate office setup, ready dressed for the day. So
Yes.
for a lot of people, I think we have a concept of what a fan looks like, and especially when it comes to anime,
Yes.
because what I've seen and what I've understood is that people say very easily, "Oh, it's just a cartoon," right? Like that is the
Yeah.
dismissive sense of that. Earlier, it used to be also
Yeah.
with superhero comics and movies, before it
Agreed.
evolved and became what it did, with Marvel and other concepts. But the same goes for anime. I'm pretty
Agreed.
sure that was even worse, like in 90s when you were
Oh,
trying to figure out for
absolutely.
yourself, and you eventually learned Japanese. So can we start with
Yes.
your own beginning of anime and then eventually getting so attached to it and it becoming what it is today?
Okay, so firstly, as you said, that anime fans kind of have a reputation. This is like not my proper. This is like because I'm in an office and because Nagpur Anime Club is not my full time job. Is because I'm in such a formal attire. Coming to my journey, I started. I'll break it into two parts. Number one is when I didn't know what anime is, and number two is when I knew what a Japanese quote unquote anime is. Followed by manga and Japanese subculture. So I'd say I started watching back in 1998, 99. I think that's as far as I can go back. So there were these very nice shows called, there was one called Alf no Shoujo Heidi, one was Cardcaptor Sakura, and Pokemon, of course, like where two animals kind of fought each other till death. And not death, but till one of them fainted. That was very hardcore. And it was something very different than what mainstream cartoons was, right? Like Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, Tom and Jerry. It was an episodic sort of a scenario, whereas in Heidi or Cardcaptor Sakura or Pokemon, it was episodic. So I had to watch the next episode in order to get context. Okay, did Ash win the next gym badge? Did Sakura catch the next card? Did Heidi find her way back to the Alpha Mountains? So it was very episodic, which was very fascinating. So it was a big, long story than an episodic sort of a situation. So back in the day, I did not know that, okay, this is made in Japan and this is what anime is, this is what their style is. But everything, right from the opening song to the theme to the vibes that it had, it was very beautiful. I loved my Pokemon till a very long time, and at one point, I think when I graduated in 10th standard, 11th standard, there was no more Pokemon to watch. So I shifted to the I guess MySpace, where pirated Japanese episodes were uploaded, and Ash Ketchum was apparently called Satoshi, so it kind of confused me. I started watching Pokemon Japanese. Sakura was a childhood what do you say, anime. So I watched that in Japanese as well, and it was phenomenal because the one shown on Cartoon Network was very different than the actual Japanese anime. So there was this nostalgia thing. There's this core memory unlocked for the 20-year-old me, and slowly I also fell in love with Detective Conan. So it used to come on a Hangama. Obviously, there was Shinchan Doraemon, but Conan was also something. I was 17 years old, 17, 18 years old, and even the main lead of Conan was 17 years old. So I loved that. I kind of reflected that. I completed Conan in Hindi, then I went to English. I completed in English. Then I started Japanese. So I guess I was watching Pokemon and Conan and Sakura. These three animes I was watching in Japanese for like a good 1.5 years. So I was like, might as well learn the language. So when I was 18, 19, I started learning Japanese, and around 19 years old, I started Nagpur Anime Club with a bunch of Japanese friends. So this is like my entire journey from 7 year old trying to have fun on his television screen to forming, I would say, one of the most influential clubs in India, anime clubs in India.
What Samarth had started off was a mushrooming of anime clubs all over the country, especially in tier 2, 3, and 4 cities, from Jaipur in north to Nagpur in west and Coimbatore in south to Silchar in northeast.
5 very significant moments or goals that you've managed to achieve in these years. Could you just highlight just for so that people can know the trajectory that has been?
Oh, okay. I am a little confused. Do you want five big achievements of COSCON and NAC? Is that the one you're asking? Or are you talking about what are my five best experiences that I have?
I mean, it could be a mix of both. Ideally, what I'm saying is Nagpur Anime Club in terms of organizing, in terms of even you meeting people, right? Associated with anime or associated with manga, that they are known. So that, I mean, I basically people can get a sense of how it has emerged. Because I do feel like, considering you are the only founding member who's continuously been associated with this so far, and the club also going alongside, and since you have had your personal evolution, the club as well. So I thought you wanted to like give me like 5, 6 moments which became highlights for both you and the club.
Okay, great, wonderful. So I mean, this is the old me talking that back in my day. So yeah, the first COSCON. This is back in 2015. We were like kind of booking the venue, and we were like, okay, what is the footfall? So once the footfall is decided, we'll go and select the venue accordingly. So back in 2015, we were like, okay, maybe 200, say 250 people is a goodish number because we are specifically targeting anime and we're an anime club. So even though we are trying to get Potterheads and other gamers, etc., involved, considering Nagpur, this is a place where people will not buy a samosa from an Inox or a PVR, right? Because it's too expensive. We'll try to smuggle in our own popcorn or food. So we're like, okay, let's not be very optimistic. Maybe let's keep a 250 ka batch, and that's what we were deciding. But one of our mentors said, okay, just prepare for 700-ish people maybe, and have the option. Okay, like so the venue was key. It was a main hall and then a garden. So just book both of them. And fortunately, the venue owner also said, okay, you can go for the main hall and then you can extend the garden part if that's okay. So we're like, okay, fine, that's good. So 200 ka we went to 500 plus an optional garden space if the crowd is too high. So when we started the convention, like the ribbons were cut, there were no cleaners. So I was in a three-piece blazer waiting for Japan Foundation and all. So the guests started arriving. I was like cleaning because I was like brooming the literal hall because there were no staff available. The staff was supposed to come at 10, and the event started somewhere around 9. And around 9, I guess already 150 to 200 people were there. 9 से 10 a.m. की range में, and it was unexpected because our initial target was 250. We achieved that when the ribbon was cut, which was something very big. And by I would say 5 6 p.m. when the cosplay contest started, I guess we achieved 10,000 1,000 people. This is back in 2015, anime only niche, right? So we had to open the garden wala space. We had to pay them extra, and the entire crowd, entire area was completely packed with fans. And that just seeing the city evolve to the next level right in front of me, that was something purely brilliant, magical, and it could not be described in words. I mean, it was so overwhelming. I was like, I kind of shed a few tears with my co-founders. Me and two of my other co-founders, we kind of did a jump thingy in the backstage, like some excited bunnies, and yeah, I guess that was one of the major highlights. Number two is obviously we did this very big thing called Pop Culture Hiroshima. We did a collab with them, and the winner got an all expense paid trip to Japan. This is back in 2020, pre-COVID. So sending someone to Japan, because at that time only Comic Con had that power to do that, sending cosplay winners to foreign countries. So fortunately, we got collaboration with Pop Culture Hiroshima, and we sent people to Japan. So the only other organization back in 2019-20 to send other people abroad from their local city was CosCon. So that is the second accomplishment, I would say. Number three is we got the director of Koba Logo, like one of the biggest studios who's making the anime called Oshinoko. The founder of that came to Nagpur out of all places, at one of our CosCon events. That was the third biggest accomplishment. Number four, we did a world record Kamehameha with the voice artist of Goku. Obviously, Dragon Ball is a big anime in my childhood, everyone's childhood, and to get more than 1,500 people at one big football ground to choreograph a Kamehameha with a proper photography team, with Goku's voice actors, with so many cosplayers, with fans, queued up, with security. It is not as easy as you see in the video, right? So just to pull it off on such a massive scale, one of the biggest Kamehamehas in the world. You can actually Google it. The biggest Kamehameha world record is 800 people, and we doubled it like unofficially. So unfortunately, we didn't have Guinness World Records because that's like another ball game. You have to pay them and etc. We tried Guinness World Records, but we were not able to pull that off. But unofficially, we are still the biggest holders of world's biggest Kamehameha at CosCon. So that was number four. And number five, obviously, was the 1 lakh cash prize pool plus the Japan trip that we had in our previous CosCon. So I guess that's for a small, passion only, fan based, hobby based community. These are very very big milestones that I really feel that are the highlights of my and NAC's career. Yeah.
I'm sitting in a very interesting place in the middle of Delhi because this will give you a vibe of what you can expect, like a very tiny aspect of what you can expect if you ever go to Japan, which is fast becoming one of the most popular destinations for Indians in tourism, I think. But with me is Kurumi Otake, who's the Director, Arts and Culture at the Japan Foundation, which has been in existence for more than 3 decades now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, for more than 3 decades. For people who've wanted to know more about Japanese art, culture, and literature, this foundation has been the first step in Delhi for people to enter. And we are sitting in a library which has more than 3,000 manga titles in its possession. And a lot of people come here on a regular basis to read these books. Now, I wanted to start with Kurumi and the film festival that again the Japan Foundation is known for. So can you take us through the evolution of the film festival and also which are the kind of films that became popular in the film festival, like the audience is wanting to come back for those films?
Yeah. So at the Japan Foundation, we have a Japanese Film Festival, which is a film screening flame for the festival for Japanese films that we have in several countries. Okay. And we started the Japanese Film Festival itself in 2016, and then we landed in India in 2017. And we started with a few cities with like 9 to 10 films, and we still keep going for more than 6 years. No, right. More than that, 8 years right now. And we are expanding to more than 10 cities even ever before. And then we are still carrying 9 to 10 films every year. And from last year, we started to collaborate with the Mela Mela Anime Japan, which is the anime festival happens in Delhi. And usually as the Japanese Film Festival, we bring like a Japanese featured film, like a recent film to introduce Japanese culture or modern life. But here for the Japanese Film Festival in Mela Mela Anime Japan, we especially focus on anime films because we have been seeing this huge population of anime lovers in India, especially in recent years.
Right.
So we are screening some films of Makoto Shinkai, the director, also the Shin-chan films, and as well as some very popular anime that you know as like Demon Slayers, something like that.
Right.
So as the Japanese film festival, even before this Mela Mela Anime Japan, we have invited Shinkai Makoto, the director of Your Name, Weathering with You, and Suzume, as there were like a petition from Indian, like one guy started, and it went viral, and we received this request to invite the whole film, the Your Name, to India. So we invited the films as well as the director in 2022. And then also this year, we invited the director of Shin-chan, Hashimoto, director, and we did the premiere in Delhi. So that's what we've been doing through the Japanese Film
Right.
Festival. And yes, we have been screening many kinds of films, like from action, sci-fi, horrors, comedy, romance. But yes, there is definitely a huge growth of the anime fans, and we are bringing so many anime films these days.
Okay. So, for a lot of people who watch anime, that becomes their first step towards getting to know probably a bit about Japanese culture or about food or about, other things, the other cultural elements of the culture. And then a lot of them then take up reading like manga here. Like I do see a lot of people and they are reading and but as somebody who's been associated with the art and culture program here, so how do you think that helps the other aspects, even for Japan Foundation? You know, how is anime the starting point for people?
Yeah, definitely. I
Right.
mean, as a Japan Foundation, we have 3 fields that we're
Right.
supporting. One is arts and culture, one is Japanese language, and one
Right.
is intellectual or academic dialogue.
Right.
So we start with arts and culture, including films, music, food, sports, everything arts and culture related. So this is like we think arts and culture as the first step for everyone to get to know with any kinds of Japanese culture or Japanese people, anything. Because you just first see anime, and if you get very interested, then maybe you're going deeper. Like
Right.
if you get really into anime and you want to watch anime without subtitles, then you have to start learning Japanese language.
Right.
So that's the second step for us. Then you go into the Japanese language class, you start learning by yourself, whatever. And then if you got more interested, maybe you got into like studying about Japan, like into academia, you're gonna go researching about it. So that's the third field that we're supporting into like more academic area. So if you go into that area, like intellectual exchange or academia, then you can be a bridge between India and Japan, cultural relation or any kinds of like relations. So that's what we hope for everyone to be. But still, we hope everyone to get in touch with Japan in all the fields. Like not everyone has to go to academia, of course. Like everyone has to study about Japan. Even Japanese language, you don't have to learn about it. Like not everyone, but still, if there's more and more people who's got interested in anime or like even film screening, then there could be more people who could be the actual bridge between Japan and India. So that's, as a Japan Foundation, is something that we are hoping for.
Okay. So as part of the festival, which is held actually somewhere in West Delhi, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah.
Now, what was your own experience, like just being part of it as somebody associated with it? About the kind of people who walked in, about the kind of community building that happened. If you would want to give us just a glimpse of what you observed during those 2 days.
Yeah, so this is about the Mela Mela Anime Japan Festival that happened in September, and it started from last year, and we were co-organized as a Japanese film festival, and we were screening mostly animation films, and we saw lots of Gen Z people.
Right.
I mean, most people are like in their teens or 20s. I mean, we also have some people from like OG anime fans, but still, like most of them, I feel like there's so much energy out of all the Gen Z generations.
Right.
And also, we were, especially this year, we were screening some films and animation episodes of Demon Slayers and something that you can also have access in like Netflix or Crunchyroll, like some kind of online screening services. But still, the people actually show up to screen and see the films. That was kind of surprising to me because something that we also want to focus is to make more exposure to the new animes.
Right.
But still, people come to something that you can also see online. And that's what I was surprised as well. I noticed that people came to meet people or to enjoy the atmosphere or experience to watch with other anime fans as like a community.
Right.
And for this year, we had, as I introduced, we invited director Hashimoto of
Right.
Shinchan, the Spicy Cascabel Dancers film, and we did a fan meeting with lots of anime club over India, and the representative came and meet with the director, and that was like so fascinating with so much energy and power of like anime, how to say, not traditional, but
Right.
people who has been dedicated to anime community even before it gets something like this, something huge.
Right.
So there was definitely a strength of the community, and so people get together to show up at the screen, and they gather together, and that's also something that we can see in anime community.
If you are starting out with anime and manga and do not know where to start, we also got Samar to share a few recommendations. Here they are.
I love completing an anime. So obviously, I can say something like, okay, watch One Piece or watch Hunter x Hunter, but they are not complete. So I need closure in my life, right? So I'll recommend all the animes that are complete, like start to finish, 100% complete with no additional stories after that. So that is my recommendation. And second, what you asked is what am I currently watching and reading? I'm currently reading Blue Lock, amazing manga. Would highly recommend, and I'm like myself a very big football fan. So it's really it's like Death Note plus football mixed into one. So Blue Lock is what I would recommend for people into that. Now coming to the five animes, okay, I'll subdivide. Number one is children. Number one is young teenagers, and number three is a little people over 20 years, right? So everyone under 10 should absolutely watch Alf no Shoujo Heidi, or highly simply put it in. So I'm watching it currently with my 4-year-old daughter, and she is enjoying. She's having the time of her life, and this is a work by Hayao Miyazaki. So before Hayao Miyazaki started Studio Ghibli, Heidi is one of the projects he worked on. So I would strongly recommend. It's like such a peaceful anime. It calms you down, and it's so much better than Coco Melon or whatever the kids are watching these days. So just watch it if you have any child under the age of 8 years. Maybe I watched it with my 4-year-old, and she had the time of her life, and I also enjoyed it as a person. It kind of calmed me down. So number one is Heidi. Number two, if you're a teenager and if you're facing some love issues, I would say, you have this teenage phase where you have crush on the next boy or girl in your classroom. So I would strongly recommend watch Lovely Complex. It's also complete. So the story is very simple. Like a very tall girl falls in love with a very short boy, and the comical brilliance that they have with some emotional punches, it's pure brilliance with the songs of Tegomas. It's just 20 episodes long, so it's not even very big. So if you're like a teenager and you've never heard of anime, and if you're facing like this unrequited love, strongly recommend Lovely Complex. It kind of opened my eyes, and I kind of watched it and at that time frame. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Number three is Demon Slayer. I mean, it's something very mainstream, but I would recommend it, especially because the movies is breaking all the box office records. I'm very sure it's gonna end in the next couple of years, and it has this very nice Edo period ka Japan. So I would like, if you are into Japan culture, not particularly into anime, but if you like Japan as a country and as a culture, would strongly recommend Demon Slayer. These are the three. Death Note, of course, because it's like, or anime is club ka logo is shaped around Death Note. It's a brilliant story. Would strongly recommend if you're into mind games, not just good detective stories. Just the medium is animated, and I recommend Death Note to every other person ever. And last but not the least is Attack on Titan. Amazing soundtrack, amazing direction by Sensei. Brilliant storytelling, brilliant foreshadowing. If you like Game of Thrones, like the first 4 5 seasons, not the ending one, this is better than Game of Thrones. It has a better conclusion, better music, better action scenes, and it is a sheer joy to watch. Medieval Spider-Man attacking giant naked people. So these are my top five recommendations.